A mystery out of Clinton Township, a woman stabbed to death and no sign of her killer, but the woman's family has their eye on someone close to her. Fox News' Jessica Dukbank says the family did see warning signs. Jess.
Ruben, those warning signs, they didn't come in the...
She was so close. Nursing school almost done. A career in healthcare within reach. A whole new chapter of her life waiting right around the corner. Shamekia Kelly had been working as a medical tech for over 10 years. Pouring herself into caring for other people every single day. And now she was finally about to make it official. A degree, a title, recognition for everything she had already been doing with her heart for years. She was 36 years old, and her life was building towards something beautiful. But somebody took that from her. And the most painful part? Nobody even knew she was gone for 2 days. Think about that for a second. 2 whole days passed before anyone found Shamekia stabbed to death inside her apartment at the Lakeside Village Apartments in Clinton Township, Michigan. She wasn't missing. She wasn't reported as a runaway. She was just silent. And silence, it turns out, had already become a normal thing when it came to Shamekia, because the people closest to her had learned not to ask too many questions about why she went quiet. Her family started calling. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. They kept trying, kept telling themselves maybe she was busy, maybe she was studying, maybe she just needed space. It was her job that finally took action. A welfare check was requested. Someone went to her door, and that's when they found her, stabbed, gone, just like that. If this case already has your attention, and you feel like Shamekia's story deserves to be heard, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click the bell icon so you never miss when we cover cases like this one. These stories matter, and the least we can do is make sure they don't get buried. Now, let's get into who Shamekia Kelly really was, because she was more than a headline. Shamekia grew up on the east side of Detroit. If you know Detroit, you know the east side shapes you in a certain kind of way. It teaches you to be tough, to be resourceful, to keep going even when things aren't easy. And Shamekia carried that with her. She wasn't the type to sit around and wait for life to hand her something. She worked. For over a decade, she showed up as a medical tech, doing the kind of job that requires patience, compassion, and a genuine desire to help people feel better. Her sister Niver Duran described her as a joy, someone who brought light into every room she walked into. She loved to care for people. That wasn't just a job description. That was who she was. So she made the decision to go back to school, to formalize that passion, to become a nurse. And she was almost there. That detail matters because it tells you the kind of woman we are talking about. Someone who is still growing, still pushing, still choosing her future every single day. And then one day, she stopped answering the phone.
A mystery out of Clinton Township, a woman stabbed to death and no sign of her killer, but the woman's family has their eye on someone close to her. Fox News' Jessica Dukbank says the family did see warning signs. Jess.
Ruben, those warning signs, they didn't come in the form of physical injuries, no bruises or anything like that, but they did say that the young woman who was killed was on again, off again with a boyfriend for about 4 years. They are strongly pointing the finger at him tonight. Although he has not been named a suspect, we do know that he recently got out of prison on other crimes.
What has your family been through?
Hell and back.
His oldest daughter stabbed to death, found 2 days later in her apartment in Clinton Township last week.
It's like my heart been torn apart, and I don't know how to mend it.
A dad broken, his daughter's killer still out there.
He need to turn himself in before I find him, because I don't know what I'd do if I see him.
36-year-old Shamekia Kelly was about to graduate nursing school before they say her life was stripped from them. They're pointing the finger at her boyfriend of 4 years.
She wasn't coming home with like a black eye or nothing. We never saw nothing like that. But it was more so like mentally, like toxic relationships.
They're getting impatient, but no justice is worth the wait.
What's done in the dark don't always come to the light. So whatever you think you're doing, you think you're getting away with it, you're not.
As I said, Clinton Township police have not named a suspect at this point. We did reach out to the chief and did not hear back in time for this story. Now, Shamekia's dad, who we talked to, said that police told them that they were waiting on forensic analysis of the scene. It's quite possible that's what police were waiting for before they move in on a suspect. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, in terms of a timeline, now that forensic evidence is something they're looking at, how much time are we talking about before they can finally perhaps try to unearth something from there?
Yeah, well, I was told that forensics was done yesterday, and if they have a short suspect list, you know as well as I do, Roop, you look at the folks closest to this individual, it could be a couple of days before they make an arrest in all of this. But again, speculation, we are waiting to hear back from investigators.
100%. We'll be watching this really closely. Jessica Dupnack for us live in our newsroom. Thank you.
Now here's where the story gets darker, because the silence on Shamekia's phone wasn't new. Her family had been hearing it for a while, and they knew exactly where it was coming from. For 4 years, Shamekia had been in a relationship with a man her family describes as toxic. For years is a long time. That's not a situationship. That's not a few bad months. That's 4 years of her life wrapped up in someone who, according to everyone who loved her, was slowly pulling her away from herself. And here's the thing that gets me every time I look at this case. There were no black eyes, no broken bones, no bruises that anyone could point to. Her sister Tamira said it plainly. She wasn't coming home with visible injuries. So from the outside, if you didn't know what to look for, maybe you'd think everything was fine. Maybe you'd think they just had a complicated relationship, like a lot of people do, but the family knew better. Tamira described something that a lot of people in controlling relationships will recognize immediately. When she would call Shamekia, her sister would be whispering on the phone. Whispering, like she was scared to let her own voice fill the room she was standing in. Or she would rush the call, cut it short, make an excuse, get off the phone fast. Not because she didn't want to talk to her sister, but because someone was monitoring her. Someone was watching how long she stayed on that call and who she was talking to. That right there is control. That is what coercive abuse looks like. When it doesn't leave marks on the skin, it leaves marks on behavior. It changes how you move, how you speak, how much space you allow yourself to take up in your own life. Her Aunt Yolanda Bracey said something that I really want everyone watching this to sit with. She said domestic violence is not always physical. It can start with isolation. And she is absolutely right. Isolation is one of the first tools an abuser reaches for. Because once they cut you off from the people who love you, once they make you feel like you have to whisper around them, they have already built a prison. And most people on the outside never even see the walls. Shamekia's family saw the walls. They were worried about her safety. They had been worried. And that worry turned into the worst phone call a family can receive. Now, the family is also pointing directly at this boyfriend. He was on and off with Shamekia for 4 years, and right now, he is nowhere to be found. Let that land. A woman is stabbed to death in her apartment, found 2 days later, and the man her family believes is responsible has simply vanished. Her father, Kelvin Bracey, is not holding back his emotions. He said his heart has been torn apart, and he doesn't know how to mend it or get his feelings back. But then he said something else. Something that tells you exactly how far a grieving father's patience has been pushed. He said the boyfriend needs to turn himself in before he finds him, because he doesn't know what he would do if that moment came. That is a father who has run out of faith in the system moving fast enough. And honestly, can you blame him? Because while the family is out here grieving publicly, demanding answers and calling for justice, the Clinton Township Police Department has gone almost completely silent. Multiple news outlets, Fox 2, Local 4, reached out repeatedly for updates and got nothing back. No statement. No confirmation of suspect. No timeline. Nothing. The family did share that forensics were completed on the case, which suggests investigators may be building towards something before making a move. But for a family sitting with this kind of grief, waiting on forensics while a man they believe killed their daughter and sister is out there somewhere, that wait feels like an eternity.
The family of a Macomb County woman is coming forward right now to plead for answers in her violent killing. Tonight, they tell us they saw serious warning signs. And thank you for being with us for Local 4 News at 6. I'm Damon Fernandez.
I'm Kimberly Gill. Shamekia Kelly wanted to be a nurse, but she never got that chance. Her family says she was found stabbed to death at the Lakeside Village Apartments in Clinton Township, right across from the old Lakeside Mall. Will Jones caught up with Shamekia's family members in Detroit and joins us live with how they are remembering her while also pushing for answers. Will.
Kimberly and Damon, the family of Shamekia Kelly reached out to Local 4 on our help desk wanting to share what happened to her. They also want to make sure the person who took her life is arrested and charged.
She was a joy. She brought joy to our family.
Gathering in the Detroit East Side neighborhood where Shamekia Kelly grew up, her family shared their heartbreak.
She was in nursing school. She loved to care for people. She worked as a tech for over 10 years. And it's hurtful to see her gone.
Last week, they say Kelly, just 36 years old, was found stabbed to death at Lakeside Village Apartments in Clinton Township. The family became concerned after they couldn't reach her.
We was trying to reach her, going to voicemail, and her job did a welfare check on her, and that's when they discovered her deceased in her apartment.
She was a loving person. She didn't deserve this at all. She was my big sister. And I want justice for her.
The family says Clinton Township police have shared limited information about their investigation. They also say Kelly had been in an abusive relationship for the past 4 years, and they were worried about her safety.
When we would be on the phone, she would be like whispering, like she's scared to voice herself or rushing me off the phone.
And I just want to urge these young ladies that domestic violence is just not always abuse as physical. It can start from isolation.
We've been trying to get information from police all day long. We emailed and called Clinton Township Police. No response just yet. The family says they spoke with police this morning. Again, they were not given much information. We are live. Will Jones, Local 4.
Yeah, hopefully they will soon. Okay, Will, thank you.
So let's talk about where this case stands right now, because this is a part that should make all of us uncomfortable. No arrest has been made. No suspect has been officially named. The boyfriend her family has been pointing to since the beginning is still out there somewhere, and the clock is ticking. Because here's what we know about cases like this. The longer someone stays in the wind, the harder they become to find. Evidence gets cold, trails go quiet, and families are left holding the weight of something they never asked to carry. Shamekia's sister Tamira said something that stuck with me. She said what goes on in the dark is always going to come to light. Whatever you think you are getting away with, you are not. And I want to believe that. I really do. But belief alone doesn't make arrests happen. Belief alone doesn't bring a family closure. What makes that happen is pressure. Public pressure, community awareness. People refusing to let a story like this get buried under the next news cycle. That is exactly why we are here talking about Shamekia Kelly today. Because she was not just a crime statistic. She was a daughter who grew up on the east side of Detroit and carried that city's grit with her everywhere she went. She was a sister who made people feel like a joy just by being in the room. She was a caregiver who spent over a decade showing up for patients before she even had the degree to prove what she already knew she was capable of. She was a woman who was whispering on phone calls because someone had made her feel like her own voice was too much. And she was still pushing through it, still in class, still working toward that nursing degree, still choosing her future even while something dark was closing in around her. She deserved to graduate. She deserved to walk across that stage. She deserved to come home to safety every single night. And the fact that she was laying in that apartment for 2 days before anyone found her, 2 days, tells you everything about how invisible women in toxic relationships can become, even when the people who love them are trying to reach them, even when the signs are there. The isolation does its job, so that by the time everyone realizes something is truly wrong, it is already too late. Now I want to ask you something directly, and I want you to really think about this. How many people in your life have you noticed go quiet? How many phone calls got shorter? How many times did someone you love seem like they were rushing you off the phone, whispering, making excuses? At what point does a pattern become a warning sign? And at what point does a warning sign become something we act on instead of just noticing? And what does it say about the way we respond to invisible abuse that it so often only becomes visible when it is too late? What does it say that a woman can spend 4 years in a controlling relationship with a family that was worried, with a pattern that everyone around her could feel even if they couldn't see it, and still end up alone in that apartment for 2 days before the world found out she was gone? Shamekia Kelly deserves justice. Her father deserves answers. Her sisters deserve to stop waking up every morning wondering if today is the day someone finally gets arrested. And whoever is responsible for taking her life, whether law enforcement gets her first or not, needs to understand that this story is not going away. If this case moved you, if Shamekia's story is sitting with you the way it is sitting with me right now, share this video. Put it in front of someone who needs to see it. The more eyes on this case, the more pressure builds. And pressure is sometimes the only thing that moves a needle. Like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and hit that bell so you are notified every time we bring you a story that deserves to be told. We will be keeping a close eye on this case, and will bring you updates as they develop. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and never ignore the whispers.